Ever wonder what the weirdos coming out of your speakers look like? Find out on Instagram at Carla Marie and Anthony.
Probably seen our very own Seattle across national headlines.
It's been insane.
Whether it's Donald Trump tweeting about us, whether it's headlines on any news station saying that it's just mayhem and anarchy. And they're talking about the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, which an autonomous zone, Carla Marie, is what?
If it's a permanent zone, it's basically an area that acts on its own without following any governmental rules and just functions within itself and ignores everything else around it.
And there have been a lot of rumors going around about what we have going on here at Capitol Hill. So I decided yesterday to take my bike down there and hang out for 2.5, 3 hours and just see what was going on. I listened to a lot of conversations. I observed. Had a couple conversations of my own with some people, and it is not nearly as terrifying as the news is making it out to be.
Of course it's not.
Because people were calling me, asking me if there were rifles, and people were standing around holding, like, big guns.
Well, listen, I didn't see any guns, but also Washington is an open carry state. So if I did, I mean, those are all legal.
There's apparently one person 2 nights ago who did have a gun.
Yeah.
That turned into... There are armed guards blocking off streets of Seattle.
English 7?
Because when my dad called me, and he obviously lives in London, so the news over there was covering it, but he was saying, like, to me, it sounds like Batman when Bane took over the city, and, like, they're standing around with AK-47s.
And it wasn't like that at all when I went.
Okay.
Right.
But my question is, how can these people claim a no government zone, and who are the people that are doing it? Because I hear people asking if it's Antifa. Some people are saying it's protesters. And how can you say I'm taking this over without the government coming in and saying, no, you can't do that?
The legality of it, I'm not sure. But essentially what happened was, as the protests were going on by 11th and Pine, and this is how Mayor Jenny Durkan explained it, it was just better for everyone if the police left that precinct, the 11th precinct.
Okay.
So what happened was there were all these barricades in front of the precinct so that the protesters took them and blocked off a couple of the streets to get into this 4 to 6 block area.
Got it.
Now, when I went in there, you've probably seen the picture of the Black Lives Matter painting on the road.
On the street,
On the street. So that's the entrance that I came in through. And it was kind of like a poetry festival and a street fair put together, because there were a ton of tents lined up with, whether it was medic tents or food, water, bagels, whatever.
Just giving stuff out
Just
for
giving
free.
stuff out, totally for free. There was also a hot dog stand that I think was charging.
The hot dog stand is charging, apparently. Yeah.
That's a legit hot dog stand. Yeah. Then I went to the baseball field that's there, right at Cal Anderson Park.
Anderson, yeah.
And it just looked like a bunch of hippies hanging out, like what you would see on any day in any park.
That's wild.
See, what's scary about that is, like, the amount of stories you have to think then that the news is, like, over just, like, saturating and saying are scary when they're not. Like, that is really bad.
I did see a little bit of a flare-up. I went behind the baseball fields there. There's, like, a turf field, and then there's another plot of grass. And there were, I would say, a dozen tents. And I don't know who was in them, but there was a little bit of an argument between 2 of the people in the tents.
Okay, but
and then they were broken up by their friends, and that's no different than a lot of the places you see in Seattle.
And we see outside our own studio window on any given day of the week. So we did get a message that said, Anthony, I heard that the fire department is not allowed to enter this zone that people have claimed.
But you need the fire department.
Hold on. When I was there, I actually did see within the barrier area, the fire chief was hanging out, and he was having discussions with people there. So he was there. I don't know if like an actual fire truck came down.
I know why this person asked that question, because there was the Seattle Fire Department said the other day, our only concern is that if there's a fire, we need to be able to get through. No one's saying the fire department can't enter this area. And that's what Evan was saying about twisting news stories. There was another news story saying that local businesses are being told, you have to pay the people in this zone now in order to stay safe. So my friend has a store there. I texted her. She said, I haven't heard of that. No other business has. And Seattle Times sent this out late last night. Breaking news. Seattle police now say they have no reports of businesses being extorted near the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone.
And I will say this as well. There's a lot of rumors about people checking your ID and making
sure. Did you have to?
No, I just walked in with my bike. I don't know.
My other thing is, I understand why they're doing it, but the coronavirus is still here, and there's still a crowd of people. It's like a group of people walking around. Are they not social distancing? What are they doing? Are they being safe?
There are some people with masks. The only people that I talked to, I had my mask on the whole time. I didn't really talk to anyone that close.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we're also opening businesses. So we can't be mad at protesters for not practicing social distancing.
I'm still not going into businesses right now.
But the country is opening up. So it's weird to put that rule on protesters when you're opening up the rest of the country.
I just think everybody that's gathering is crazy right now.
Oh, me too. And that's why I stayed away from everybody.
Now, obviously, Anthony, you saw Black Lives Matter in the street. Mm-hmm. Was the overall vibe of the area seeing it, now again, could be the news. When I look at the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone, I look at it like, okay, these people have moved on from the original message. This is something different.
Yes and no. Because yesterday they came out with a list of 30 demands if they're going to leave the area. This is very much like the Occupy Wall Street movement, whatever, 6 years ago? 7 years ago, whenever that was. And essentially, no, it must have been longer than that.
9.
They have 30 lists of a list of 30 demands, from social justice to healthcare to police reform to a lot of different things. And the idea is it's all based in the Black Lives Matter movement and social justice reform. Okay. So there were 3 groups of circles where people were having these open discussions about what they'd like to see moving forward from their government and their community. So from what I saw, it wasn't violent, but I will put this in there. When I left, about 10 minutes later, I guess some police officers tried to come back to the 11th precinct, and they were chased out on their bikes.
They were chased out?
Yeah, they were chased. They were like bike police, and they were chased out of the area.
By hippies?
It's not 100% like calm, but it wasn't a terror like the news is making it out to be.
So what you're saying is the military at this current moment doesn't need to go in there?
I don't think so. I mean, people are protesting, and that's a First Amendment right.
Okay.
Whether you agree. And you know what's funny is I posted that I was there, and so many people messaged me on Instagram asking if I was supporting it or angry with it. And I said, neither. I'm just here looking at it. And this is their right. So what doesn't matter what I think of it. But it's funny that when you post about something, everyone wants to know if you're on their side or not.
Yeah.
And I don't think there are a lot of sides that I need to take.
No.
Follow Anthony on Instagram @WorstAnthony.